Hey guys, I have been so excited to make this video. I'm going to share with you guys some albums that I think should have a vinyl record pressing. So this video idea is actually not mine. I was inspired by these two YouTubers who I saw. The YouTubers Simply Lily and Megan Wakefield actually did this same idea first, and I saw their videos on it. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the topic of it, and so I wanted to, try it out for myself. I thought this would be so fun to do. In their videos, they did include a lot of singles, but for this video specifically, I'm only doing albums, LPs. I think I'll save singles for a separate video. If you grew up watching Disney Channel like I did, then you definitely are familiar with Ross Lynch. Him and his siblings were in a band, the band R5. That was really the first band I ever liked. And their album Louder, I still honestly like it to this day. And this one is my favorite album of theirs. While doing my research for this video, I did find out there is a vinyl pressing of this out there somewhere. I just saw it on Discogs, so it does exist on vinyl, but it's black vinyl and I can't find it anywhere else. So I would definitely like repress this. So with this design, I definitely obviously made it based off of the Louder title. I thought a red pressing would be super cool to match the Louder, and then there's a lot of black and grays in the cover as well, so I thought it would be cool to add some black splatter just to make it a little bit more interesting. So let me know if you guys were ever into R5. I don't really like the Driver era, but I would still listen to R5 for sure. Another band coming up next, I have 5 Seconds of Summer. They have a ton of albums on vinyl, but I did have a few ideas for them. The She Looks So Perfect B-sides, there are so many bangers on this, like Pizza, The Only Reason, Disconnected. These songs definitely need to be on vinyl, and so my idea was again to base it off of the colors in the album cover. So I started with a yellow base to match the logo and the yellow stickers on the cover, and then similar to the R5 one, I thought some black splatter would look really cool. Now my other 5 Sauce one was Youngblood. Youngblood does have a vinyl pressing, but I definitely think the deluxe version needs its own pressing. Some of 5 Sauce's best songs are deluxe songs. Babylon from this album definitely needs to be on vinyl. So with this one, I thought it would be really cool to keep the original Youngblood album cover, because the current vinyl pressing of it is a different album cover, and I really love the original Youngblood album cover, so I would keep it for the deluxe vinyl. And the cover is very retro, and there were so many colors to work with, so I was really inspired by the oranges and the yellows and the pinks. This was kind of the idea I was going for, just mixing some of those colors from the background. By the way, if you're wondering how I made these mock-ups, I did everything on Canva. I'm pretty sure the rest of this video is going to be EDM. Lately, I've seen a lot more DJs and producers releasing their new albums on vinyl, so I think they're starting to get on the vinyl trend, but there's a ton of dance music that's not on vinyl. Let's start with Martin Garrix. None of Martin Garrix's albums are on vinyl except for his Area 21 album, but that's separate. I would love for Martin Garrix to have his album and his EPs on vinyl. Starting with his only album, his only true album is Sentio. This one I thought was really cool. I kind of went for like a darker vibe, something to match the album cover. The album cover has a really kind of like trippy, liquidy design to it, so I wanted to keep that look on the record, and I found this really cool like white, dark blue, and black splattery kind of pressing. I thought it matched Martin Garrix's symbol pretty well, and keeping the similar colors, I think this would look really cool. Moving on to Martin Garrix's EPs, he has a lot of EPs. His most recent one is called Item. I wanted to keep that teal color. I just realized I kind of have like a lot of black splatter records so far, but again, I think it works really well, especially for Martin Garrix and this dance music theme. So I did like a teal vinyl with black splatter. I think it's really cool. It definitely matches the album cover, I think, and then it even matches the M. The M kind of has a very similar design to the record. As you can see, they kind of almost blend into each other a little bit, just a very similar design. I think it's very cohesive, and again, I think this will look really sick. Splatter vinyl looks so cool. I love it. This one is pretty simple. We have 7 by Martin Garrix, another one of his EPs. This one had so much going on. The actual EP cover is very chaotic. It's basically taking all of the single covers and combining them all into one image. There were 7 songs on this EP, which is why it's called 7. So there's 7 different designs going on, but there were some similar colors throughout, most notably the blue, so that's what I chose for the vinyl. So I tried to keep the same shade of blue, and then I made the label the red color because the album cover itself is so chaotic. I think the record should have been simple. Moving on to his By Law EP. Now this one was also pretty cool. Again, it's like that digital aesthetic, kind of futuristic. So obviously the cover has black, red, and blue. I couldn't really find a record mock-up I liked that had red and blue in it, so I decided just to stick with a dark red, and I think it looks really sick, and there's some black smoke in there as well. I made the label blue and I realized it kind of matches the Y. Bylaw is an acronym. It's the first letter from every song on the EP. Y stands for Yodabyte, which is one of the songs. And now looking at it and comparing the two, this record looks very similar to that, with the blue circle and then the red around it on the outside. And finally, we have the Gold Skies EP. It's got some of my favorite Martin Garrix songs on it and some of his biggest songs too, of course, like Animals. So I based it off of the colors in the text. In the Gold Skies, you see some yellow, a little bit of orange, and pink, so that was perfect to use for the actual record pressing to kind of give that Gold Skies sunset feel. I was able to find 2 record pressings for this one, and I honestly couldn't pick which one I liked better. I honestly like them both. Yeah, both of them have like a pink and yellow marble effect going on. I think it looks so cool. Gold Skies on vinyl would honestly be amazing. Area 21, The Alias by Martin Garrix and Major. Their first album is on vinyl, but they have a lot of singles that aren't on vinyl, so I might save that for the singles video part 2. But I did remember that they do have a live album. It's called Live on Planet Earth. I really like this live album. I think it would be really cool to have on vinyl. I kept the album cover the same, and for this pressing, I wanted to do something to match the Area 21 logo, which is a white triangle. So I have a white base and then some gray, black looking smoke going on. Nothing too crazy. It's pretty simple, but I think the white is very clean and sleek and kind of futuristic, kind of what I would associate with Area 21 and Aliens. Now this next one I know technically isn't an album, but Fred again, I had to include him in this video. Lately he's been putting out a lot of his live performances on vinyl, like the Tiny Desk pressing, and he just did one for Peace You Need. So I was thinking what other Fred again performance would be great on vinyl, and I had to go with the Boiler Room set. That is honestly probably one of his most, if not the most, iconic Fred again live set performance. That really put him on the map. I've watched it so many times. It's so good. I had fun with this one, and I went with a red design to match the red lighting in the background. And then for the cover, I just picked a still from the video. And again, I did like a red colored vinyl with some black smoke to make it a little bit more interesting. Next up, I have the Chainsmokers. Most of their albums and EPs are not on vinyl, unfortunately. The Chainsmokers' second album called Sick Boy is not on vinyl, and I really wish it was. I love that album so much. I'm not a huge fan of the album cover itself, actually. I wouldn't say I love the colors or the concept. So I have this pinkish coral looking vinyl. I also wanted to have like a smoky effect on it too, but I couldn't find a mock-up with exactly what I wanted. I couldn't really find this color with black smoke, but I think it definitely has to be this color to match that smoky pinkish coral color in the album artwork. I also love their third album called World War Joy. That was my first album as a Chainsmokers fan, so that was like the first time I followed an album release of theirs, and I really enjoyed the album. I really do not like the actual album cover. It's so bad. Like, I don't even know what they were thinking with this. I wouldn't even consider it a cover. It looks like a track list. So unfortunate. So for this one, I designed the entire thing, cover and record pressing. For the cover, I went with this graphic that they had. They had it on a lot of the marketing and the posters and the tour too, the World War Joy tour. This huge war looking half smiley face globe kind of thing with the Chainsmokers flag. Like, this was their logo for the tour. This was kind of the aesthetic. The album and this concept of World War Joy had like 2 different aesthetics. It was kind of weird. I tried to find a record that matched the reddish orange color. I couldn't find something that was perfect, but this was close enough. Next up is Dillon Francis. This mixtape is fire too. So the first album from this series, I guess, is actually called This Mixtape is Fire. So that's the first one, and it does have a vinyl pressing. I have it in my collection, but for some reason he did not press the second album on vinyl. It's on CD, but it's not on vinyl. I really enjoyed this album and I wish it was on vinyl. I need it. I went with the original album cover, and of course, because the concept is like this album is fire, I made the album like a fire color, so red, orange, and yellow, so it does match the title of the album as well as the cover art. Next up is Calvin Harris. He recently put out a compilation album called 96 Months. It's basically his greatest hits album, and some of these songs aren't on vinyl. You know, a lot of artists do have greatest hits records, so for Calvin Harris to do that, that would be pretty cool. I think it's a missed opportunity he didn't do it. I would have totally bought this greatest hits album from Calvin Harris. For this one, I wanted to match the colors of the album artwork. There were a lot of browns, different shades of brown, and some hints of like orange and yellow too. Yeah, so this one definitely matches the background, the studio that he's in. This record I found, the mock-up has really nice shades of brown in it and little hints of like gold and yellow. Last but not least, I have Drove. Drove used to be signed to Stamped Records, Martin Garrix's label. They left and went to Sony, but I've been following them since day one, and they don't have any of their music on vinyl, probably because they're very small and independent and niche. I'm not sure if there would be a big demand for it, but if they ever release their music on vinyl, I would buy that instantly. They don't have any albums out actually, they only have EPs. First one here is called Dusk Till Dawn, and it's based off of their first two EPs. Their first two EPs are called Dusk and Dawn, and then they put them together in just a compilation album. But that would be good for them to make a compilation record. They could have one EP on each side of this album, and it's based off of like driving and the road. You know, their name is Drove, so for all of their records, I did make the label a tire to kind of reference drove and driving and their concept as a whole, like music to drive to and go on road trips and stuff. So for this vinyl pressing, I based it off of the, I think it's sand in the background. I think the picture was taken in a desert. So I wanted to match that desert look. The color is a little bit off. It could look a little more sandy. Then I have another EP of theirs called Drift Away, and this one was pretty simple to do, nothing too crazy. I kept it blue to match the album cover, again with the tire label in the middle, and this blue has a little bit of a darker blue in it, a little bit of a marble smoky effect. I really love this EP, so this would also be really cool to have on vinyl. I also like their EP called Take Me Somewhere. The colors were really interesting with this one. It was kind of like a greenish teal color, not really a sunset, I don't think. I found this record pressing mock-up picture that pretty much perfectly matched the greenish turquoise color in the background, so that was pretty cool. And last but not least, I have Drove's most recent EP, which is called A Moment in Time. I really love the aesthetic and the visuals for this EP. I think it's so cool. I love the black and white, and for this one I kept it very simple, again keeping the black and white theme and design. So the record I have here is like a white or silver base, and then there's a lot of like gray, silver, black, white mixed in, and the black and white tire too looks nice. Like it all just works together. It all matches really well, I think. Most of my favorite albums are on vinyl, which is good, but again, there are a lot of stuff I just showed you that isn't on vinyl that I had a lot of ideas for, and this was so fun to do. I really enjoyed making these mock-ups. Let me know if you liked this video. Let me know if you enjoyed it and you want me to make a part 2. I think I'll definitely make a video for singles specifically. There's so many singles that I think need a vinyl pressing, a little 7-inch single. In the comments, let me know if there are any vinyl record pressings that you wish existed. Let me know if there's any albums you like that aren't on vinyl, and let me know if you have any ideas for how the records could look. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!